Welcome back to One Eye Television. Today we got a great episode. We're talking about the anatomy of the body, the importance of drawing and creating with art. Every artist, I feel as though, should learn how to sketch and draw portraits and different figures of the body, because it helps your artistic ways grow into better levels in being an artist. And today we got my co-host Ja with me. You know, I'm glad to have you back, man, to the show.
It's always a pleasure to be here. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy working with you, and I know we're gonna put something out there.
Yeah, we're gonna break it down. We're gonna break it down what it's like being an artist and the anatomy of the purpose of this show. I wanted to break down the different levels, because a lot of times artists and other people who cannot create, they ask me how when I'm creating art, what am I looking at when I'm creating? Am I looking at it with the physical eye, or am I looking at it with the artistic eye? And I always tell them I'm looking with both. I'm looking with both concepts, and I'm also looking at shapes, different tones. I'm looking at just everything. I'm looking past the physical,
the model.
I'm looking past what the physical eye sees.
Right.
So I'm looking at the structure, the bone. Because I had to study that. You have to study the bones and the muscles of the body to kind of figure how you're going to create the head, the arms, the shoulders, the torso, the legs, the thighs, and a lot of times the artists feel as though the hands and the feet are the hardest things to create. And in my practice of creating art, that is true.
All right. I had did like a little, had my little time into it, and taking photos actually of nude models is how I got into the graphic art. So basically, I was going the opposite steps she was going. So I would take the photo, and then I would find the shapes inside and then turn that into the graphic arts. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
And totally pull them out the picture and present the shapes of their body in just like a new image, basically.
Okay. So as we break down some of the different levels of creating, I want to show you all some of the ways I create and some of the examples of my art that I create. Some of the art that I create is very interesting, so I want to kind of show you all some of the art pieces that I'm creating with these types of art. This art here is the final pieces.
Right.
Sort of like, well, it ain't the final pieces, but it's more detailed than when you first start sketching on paper. And these are real models that I created, real models that I sketched and drawn. I love working with them in the field of art. And being a model is a form of art as well. And as I continue to study the art, drawing and creating the art, it's amazing, As you can see in these different types of paintings, each model have their own way of modeling. They have their own styles of modeling. And that's what I love about sketching models, and just being in the atmosphere, it breaks down a lot of different levels of art.
Right, and once again, they don't stay in those poses for like an hour. They're switching, doing different poses, and somebody else that's sketching, they might do a different pose than the one that you started to do.
Yes. So it could be like probably 10 artists surrounded this one model. And like I said, they have 2-minute sketches, 3-minute sketches. Sometimes we may have a 20-minute sketch.
Right.
So the 20-minute sketch, you get more detail, but the 2 minutes are like the 30 second, 2 minutes or whatever, is to help you sketch real fast. It's to help you sharpen your art skills. Because the quicker you sketch, the faster you can be able to create the artwork. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So, like I said, if you can see in these paintings, and using this type of paper, it's like a brown piece of paper. I learned with the brown piece of paper with the charcoal, the white charcoal with the red, it makes the the art pop off the paper. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? And that's something, like I said, I love. And the reason, like I said, me studying the human figure, the human body, it amazes me how the creator create amazing people, you know. And when I create, I look at their soul, I look at their spirits. And me creating these different shapes and forms of art, it helps me get in tune with how important the human figure is, you know?
So I seen on the bottom, it was 2 models in that picture.
Yeah, yeah. And even in this paint, this is a totally different model. She was a young model that I loved to sketch because her body was like she had like a petite, like a fine petite like body, you know, and like I said, each one of them is just different forms of art that I wanted to share with the world because that's like the last results of the layers. There's different layers of the art, and as we continue to talk, we will further down I will show you all how I start off drawing, how I create, and what it's like creating and what I'm looking at as I continue to create.
This stuff came from shapes, basically.
Shapes.
Right.
A lot of circles, lines, squares. Like I said, when I'm looking at shapes because everything you look at is a shape first. I'm not looking to draw, like when I'm creating a human figure, I'm looking at, first thing I look at is which way the head is, which way is the shoulders, the thighs, the hips, which angle are they? So when I'm creating these different types of art pieces, I sketch the angles first. Right. Because if you don't get the proportions right and the angles right, it's gonna throw the whole painting. Yeah, so like I said, in those different things in creating that, you know, I wanted to share a story about a guy, like, okay, for this one, you can see this model, she had braids in her head, and I wanted to break down her. See, I didn't catch her whole body. I just caught her shoulder with her braids in different ways. And I think in this painting, it was a couple of models, different models. Each model had their own style, you know, their own figure. And as you can see, you can't see the lights. I mean, here's another thing. When I'm creating these art pieces, see, when I start off, I don't start off with dark angles. See, if you can see this painting here, this sketch here, see those sketches, I don't start off with dark lines. Every creation that I create, I start off with very thin, light lines, shapes, because I want to be able to build the layers on top of those pieces.
Right.
Yeah, so as you continue to see me create, like I said, when I started to learn how to study the body, understand the body, and how the body flow with art, you see what I'm saying? I learned that my body parts are very valuable. And as for people know that I am blind on my right eye, you know, I lost my right eye, you know, and losing my right eye, I ain't gonna say it disabled me, but it did in so many forms because I can't see like
3 dimensions.
I see flat. Right. I see. So as you can see this painting, see I did this with watercolors, light blue watercolors, but I still use the same technique. I still use the circles with the shapes or whatever. So in saying that, when I create looking at flat circles, because I asked someone, when I'm drawing, do I see 3D or do I see 2D? And he told me that I see objects flat.
Right, just flat.
Flat, and a lot of times when I'm creating, to create something 3D sometimes can be hard. So as you can see now in this scene of the video, I'm at an art lab, so now I'm gonna break it down and let you all see how I'm creating, what I'm looking at.
So they'll get to see the shapes.
The shapes, and then you can see in the video, you see me just, that it's real light, but it's like, it's just a lot of lines and a lot of shapes. It's not a lot of detail. It just grasping, and also I'm grasping the whole space of the figure. And what you see me sketching is it's a dummy model.
Right, mannequin.
Yeah, it's like a mannequin, and so it's like an example of showing you all what it's like for me sketching and see, and I think this is the first piece I did that day. This piece here, I wanted to this like the first warm up. So this one is gonna be like the rough draft, the real rough draft, because every time I start up, it's just like you do anything. You first stages, you ain't did it in a couple of days, so you start out. So the first sketch will be a little rougher than the finished second or third rough draft of it. You see what I'm saying?
But with live and even with a mannequin, being that you see things flat, you have to bring both of them to life. So even a live person have life, you still got to put more life into them while you create them.
So you can see in the video, you see now I'm far from the mannequin and I'm sketching. And like I said, what I'm looking at the different forms of the body. And you can see it don't have no arms, but you can see in this sketch here that I grasped it. That was the first rough draft. So now what I'm doing, I'm getting another sheet of paper so I can sketch maybe a good 3 or 4 different scenes of it, because what I'm doing, I'm warming up. And also I'm breaking down to y'all the beginning of the video of how I build my layers on top. And every piece that you've seen at the beginning of the video is up under those sketches is the foundation. That is the foundation of the shapes, the different shapes and different layers that I create.
You're not going there just drawing the face, the eyes, and everything.
No, but before I took college classes or semesters or whatever, that was something that I used to do. I used to draw. When I used to start off with the eyes. I used to draw a line and a cross to get I used to start off with my paintings or my drawings with the eyes.
Right.
And
so you got a signature style too, and then you have the conventional style also.
But creating like that, I ain't gonna say it was wrong, but once I began to be around a lot of artists, the artists taught me how to draw in portions, meaning you capture the whole subject first.
Right, then you put the details.
Then you go back and put the details, because I can start with the eyes and the mouth may be off.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So if I catch the whole subject, at once, meaning I put the proportion of the head, the body, the legs, the feet, and the hands and the arms in the right proportions, then I can come back and create the detailing. As you can see here, what I'm doing now is like I'm getting closer up on the subject, and I'm looking at not just because when I was sitting, I was just grabbing the rough draft of the subject. So now I wanted to grow closer to see what I'm drawing and how I'm drawing the different body shapes and the tones and the lights, the shades, the dark shade, the gray shades, and the light shades of the subject. Because everything you look at it, the light reflects off the subject.
It's needed, or else it would just be a flat picture, right?
Well, I mean, it depends on who you are as an artist. Because if you're an artist that, if you love what you do, to put more detail into it, it makes the subject, your painting or your sketching or your drawing more detailed, more realistic.
Right.
Cause like for instance, if you looked at my drawings in the beginning when I showed you, see, a lot of times you may see drawings and you just may see lines. And in my sketches, I learned to erase the lines by making the shading. The shading erases the line. Like if you see a lining of the lips, see, the goal is you don't just draw the lips
pop out.
Yeah, see, the shading will make the shading will make the eyes. I mean, the shading will bring more depth, more realism, more 3D. You know, it will bring more subject to the matter.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And like I said, whether it's a live model or a mannequin, you're putting life into these pictures.
Yeah.
Because the way you see it is in a flat vision, and you have to bring the dimensions out of it. No matter what.
Yes. And like I said, I had see the shading is what makes the dimensions. Right. The shading, the light, like which way the light is reflecting on the subject matter or whatever. So, like I said, when I'm in the studio creating, I love creating. I love being in the atmosphere because it helps me get in tune with why I'm an artist, you know, and like I said, me creating and drawing and painting, it helps me understand the different levels of art, you know, and so like to go back to what I was saying when I'm creating, by me having one eye, you know, creating art, I wanted to break down this story that I wanted to share also in the studio, as far as the importance of your body and your limbs or whatever. This guy I met named Jonathan Crenshaw, he was a great artist in Miami, Florida. Right. He was an artist, he had no arms. And like I said, when I first met the brother, he was an amazing brother, you know. And the time that I met him, I was homeless in the streets. I was on drugs real bad. And this particular night, I was on South Beach, and I was just walking the streets, and I was walking on South Beach, and I seen this crowd of people around this guy, and at first I thought he was dancing, or I don't know what I thought he was doing. I just seen it was a lot of commotion about whoever he was. So I went over there, and when I walked up on him, he had no arms, and I seen him. He had a pencil and a brush in both of his feet, and he was drawing on canvases. He was painting, drawing, and he was selling art, and that blew my mind.
With his feet.
With his feet, and he would take the art piece, put it in a frame, and he would hand the people their frame artwork, and they would pay him. He would take the money, fold it. It blew my mind. And at that time, I had, like I said, I was homeless. I was very depressed that day. I was lost. I was just, and that sparked me. That when I seen that brother painting and drawing, because I'm an artist, I got my limbs. I may have lost a limb, but he ain't got no arms, and he's productive. And even though he had an addiction, you know, he was struggling. He was homeless on the streets. But see, one thing about my drawing, I couldn't hustle when I was homeless. Right. You know, that's how I knew it was. Now, if you could see in this scene, now you can see how more detailed the drawings are. You can see how more.
This is a side view.
This is a side view. Yeah, this is a side view. But you can see, if you see how I'm sketching these are more detailed, more. See, my hands are warmed up, my eyes are warmed up. It's where now. I'm not as rusty, so now I'm on point with what I'm looking at and what I'm drawing. And a lot of times, we're gonna get back to the subject of the brother, right? But I just wanted to show you what it's like to when your hands and your eyes warm up and you begin to create more and better. So back to the brother, right? Like I said, when I seen this man doing this, it blew my mind, man. Like, I said, man, I need to get back to drawing. And he was just an inspiration for me. And he recently passed away. He was 51, you know. He was from Miami, Florida. Like I said, he was in newspapers and on the news for being an artist. And like I said, I just wanted to give him his inspiration that he inspired me. He inspired me to, you know, continue on with my art, because it was moments in my art career where I would stop drawing, either because I was on the streets, or even because, you know, I just wasn't motivated. But by seeing him create his art and producing art and selling art and being inspiring, I just wanted to give him his, I wanted to acknowledge him and let him know that, you know, that condolences to him and his family, and let him know that, you know, he inspired me. He was a good person as far as, you know, from what I studied, even though in his homelessness or the things that caused him that type of pain, you know, because I seen his work and he put his pain in his work, you know. So as you can see here, I'm drawing just the top body, and I'm just quickly, like I said, these are just quick sketches just to keep my artistic hand and eyes sharp, because if you go so many days or so many weeks without creating, sketching, you can get rusty. And another subject I wanted to talk about, right? Like I said, I follow a lot of people in the art world on Instagram or whatever, or social media. And I've been noticing now what a lot of artists are doing now, this new brand of art, is where they don't sketch no more. They trace the outlines on the canvases, right? And then they go color it in. So for me, being a traditional artist, sketching, and I know the importance of sketching.
Right, and then they take themselves out.
So my question is to you is this: you're an artist as well. If you seen an artist produce a beautiful painting, right, and you be like, wow, that is nice. But if you knew that he traced it on the camera, on the canvas, does that discredit his art painting?
Oh, totally. So I would drop the A, because he just lost his A. And he'll just be the artist with the art, you know what I'm saying? Because the thing about creating is with 10 people inside the classroom and everybody's doing their stuff from scratch, you're gonna get different perspectives, you're gonna get different pictures. When you trace over something, it's almost like kindergarten. Everybody has the same picture, and maybe you add the color, you know what I'm saying?
So the reason why I asked that, because like I said, I see a lot of artists that if you follow artists, they would trace over an image on the canvas, and when they show their behind the scene of how they painted, they never show that they drawing on the canvas. They showing you when they're painting. And so